Hello, friends. Welcome to your next tarot reading. It's Will here, and today we are going to ask the question, what do they really feel about you? So think about a person, someone in your life who you've been thinking about, and put them in your mind, right? And we are going to answer the question, what do they really feel about you? Today I've chosen 3 different decks. As you can see, we have the Star Spinner Tarot, we have Terra Volatile, and we have the Ancient Italian Tarot. And in a moment, I'm going to deal out a major arcana card from each one that will act as a sort of theme card for each reading. I also went ahead and paired each deck with a little animal figurine. I think these are so adorable. So this, I believe, is a lemur. The lemur will go with the Star Spinner Tarot. This is a seal, and the seal will go with Terra Volatile. And this is a boar, and the boar will go with the Ancient Italian Tarot. So maybe you're already drawn to one of these 3. Let's grab this first one, and I will start shuffling the major arcana. These are just the majors. And let's see what we get. I'll cut the deck. Okay, we've got the Tower as our very first card. So here you might feel like things are kind of falling down around you with this person, or maybe you've got a situation where you've had a sudden revelation about this person. Either of those could potentially make sense with this card. So let's grab the next one. Okay. So for Terra Volatile, we've got the Emperor. The Emperor. So if you're feeling like very disciplined, like you're taking action, or like maybe your person is a kind of an emperor, or if you're like feeling high and mighty up on your throne, then this one might apply best to you. Let's do the third option, Major Arcana for Ancient Italian Tarot. Okay. All right. The Fool. If this person makes you feel giddy or silly or foolish in your presence, in their presence, then I think the Fool card might be for you today. So please choose one of the 3 piles based on the Tower, the Emperor, the Fool, and or one of these figures. The timestamps will be below, and I will see you in your reading. Hello, Group 1, and welcome to your reading. You chose the Star Spinner Tarot with the Tower card and this adorable little lemur figurine. I'll set him aside, and I'll put this over here for the moment. I have shuffled the Star Spinner Tarot pretty thoroughly, but I will continue to shuffle here so that you can see that I'm doing it. And we'll do a reading for you. The question, of course, that we're working with today is, what do they really feel about you? So I'd like you to think about your person, whoever this is, friend, acquaintance, family member, someone you have a crush on, someone you think might have a crush on you, someone who you're no longer in contact with. Could be any of those. And what do they really feel about you? We're looking for feelings here. And so since you chose the Tower card, there's a couple ways that I could interpret that in relation to the question. Um, One, which I hope isn't too weird, is like maybe you feel like um, this other person is the bolt of lightning that has struck you. And so maybe you're like dumbstruck by them or having a revelation about them and feeling, I would imagine, some pretty intense things about them to the extent that it feels like the rest of your life is sort of crumbling, right? Like maybe you're head over heels for this person. In some versions of this card, the people are falling and their feet are like above their head. So maybe you're going through that kind of a thing. I also read this card in terms of sexuality sometimes. Again, without getting too weird about it, like I do think there's kind of some suggestion of a sort of, it's a tower, right? So like a phallic symbol with this card, and the explosion of the lightning hitting it does make me think of sexuality in a kind of way where it's overtaking everything and might result in a kind of disaster, but it's not the lover's card, for example, and so maybe there's something with that going on. Ooh, this just kind of fell out, so I'm gonna the magician. Okay, so the magician just fell out, so I'm gonna put that there. So that would be something else to consider with the Tower card. And then with the Magician just falling out here, I'm wondering, like, are you trying to start something again? Because the Magician, of course, is number one of the major arcana. So are you like maybe after something has fallen apart, are you trying to get it going again? Or is your person trying to get it going again? Because, of course, the way that I phrased the question was, what are their feelings about you? And so we really should be thinking about things sort of from their perspective here. So maybe this is what we're working with, that something between the two of you has fallen apart and there's a sentiment of wanting to start it up again. Okay, let me set these to the side. Let's see. I'm going to actually just put them off screen. I have them on a stand, so I'm looking at them. But I want plenty of room to lay out the cards here. So let's knock and cut, and then we'll lay out our spread. I'll do 9 cards. Let's see, what do they really feel about you? Okay, first of all, 5 swords. So it seems like there was some conflict and somebody hurt somebody. That is what I get from this. 5 swords. So maybe they're looking back and they're saying, ooh, I did something I shouldn't have done to that person. I said something I shouldn't have said, or I hurt that person, right? We've got this winged figure with 3 swords, and then the 2 more sticking in the skull, like stabbed them in the head, metaphorically, right? Like did something to make them hurt. So there may be a sense of regret here, that your person is regretting something. Oh, 4 cups. Look how longingly this figure is sort of staring off into the distance. There's this big happy house on the hill with the gorgeous full moon behind it. But this figure's not in that house, right? Like, this is a feeling of being cast out, rejected, lonely, Maybe your person is feeling like they hurt you and now they are lonely because of what they did, and they are looking off dejectedly into the distance. Four of chalices or cups can also mean they have rejected something really fulfilling and great and valuable that has been offered to them. And like they don't see how great it was, right? So maybe that's what's going on with your person. 6 coins. So, this is about being on the path towards well being. This is about growing, being in harmony, and being generous, giving something valuable, a resource, time, money, energy, something to other people, right? So, like, I would wonder here, are they thinking of reaching out to you, right? Like, they think that they've hurt you and they're feeling regret, apologetic, even, and dejected, cut off, like emotionally alone, and maybe even bored. And they're thinking, like, what if I were to do something generous for this person, for you, right? Six of coins specifically is all about generosity. So I would not be at all surprised if they are sitting around thinking of reaching out, maybe even apologizing, saying they're sorry, um, wanting to offer you something valuable, right? Not necessarily a physical object, although I suppose it could be with coins, but um, something that is worthwhile, right? Like they want to invest themselves in you again, right? Metaphorically speaking, like invest time, energy, feelings. I think especially feelings, given the four chalices or cups that's going to be here now at the very center of the spread. Okay, let's look at some other cards. Between the Five of Swords and the Four of Cups, we have the King of Cups. So, this is someone who is very good at controlling their emotions, right? Like someone who might be feeling one kind of way on the inside, but has learned over time to keep that, like not to present that publicly, not to perform it, not to let it out. Um, but they're not stoic. So like they're not like the King of Swords where they're just totally calm. It's like they express their feelings, but they express them in very socially acceptable kinds of ways. Okay, so like if they're super angry, they wouldn't necessarily show outside that they're really angry. Although maybe you could pick it up based on their tone, but they would like keep it together really well, even though underneath the surface maybe there were really strong feelings bubbling up. Let's see, underneath the King of Cups. Ooh, we've got an Ace of Wands. So this is a new spark of something new. Like they want to take some kind of action, they want to do something. And so this is very much what I was getting at earlier. Like they've got this idea that maybe they need to do something to account for or take care of or make amends for whatever happened with this Five of Swords, where I would imagine they like did they felt entitled to do something or say something um, to you that was not okay. And maybe they didn't necessarily know in the moment that that's what they were doing. But now there's this spark of action with the Ace of Wands. Like, they've got the idea that they may need to act on it to take care of it, to make amends for it. And they're sitting here musing about it, thinking about it, and all of that. Let's see what comes up between the Four of Cups and the Six of Coins. It's another ace. Look at that. So we've got new beginnings here. We've got at the new beginning of a new spark, taking a new action, maybe feeling a new passion again, or for the first time. Like if there's been recently a change in the relationship in some way, this is a new thing that's coming. And then the Ace of Coins, this is about a garden, right? There's a beautiful walled garden in here. We see this mountain way off in the distance, but this is about beginning something new that has to do with your values, with their values, with improving their well-being. And I can't help but notice the relationship between the Ace of Coins and the Six. Like we're going from the beginning of something meaningful to it's being invested in growing up and being harmonious, right? Six is about harmony. It's about um, what's the word, right? Like if the fives are about destabilizing, disrupting, and change, the six is the calm that comes after that, the harmony that comes after that. So that's a really nice card to see at the end of this spread. Underneath the Ace of Coins, we're looking at the Knight of Wands. Okay, so the Knight of Wands, this is someone who is really good. Okay, this is someone who's really good at starting new projects, like taking the idea to make good on maybe how they messed up before. But the problem with the Knight of Wands is they're really fiery. They're also airy because they're a knight. But they don't always follow through, right? So we'll look at these last two cards, but the overall picture that I am getting of your person right now is they think that they've done something wrong in the past, right? And they've kind of kept their feelings about it under wraps a bit. But they've got this new spark that tells them they need to act, they need to do something. And they're sitting around kind of dejectedly, feeling maybe kind of lonely and cast out from others, like from you, I would imagine. But this feeling that they need to do something keeps on pressing. It's not just below, it's above as well, right? We've got this mirror between court cards and aces, right? And they're flip flopped. Like here, it's the self that's above, the urge to do something new, but it flips over time where the urge to do something new is above the self. Okay. But instead of feeling like a king, your person is feeling like a knight. So the king is more likely to make sure stuff gets done. And I think the knight is a little more flighty. So whether they're going to follow through on it is a little more in question now that I see this particular court card, right? They've got the urge to start this new beginning, like to reach out again, to do something different, to have some new behavior about you that they haven't had before. But will they follow through? Let's look at the last two cards. So up here, we've got the Five of Cups. So Four of Cups, Five of Cups makes me think not only are they feeling like rejected, dejected, but they're feeling like a change of heart, emotional disruption, and maybe even a feeling of sadness or grief, if they think that they have hurt you in some way, Five of Swords to Five of Cups, the feeling of conflict is transforming into a feeling of like grief or loss, that they're trying to figure out how they can move on from that. Finally, the Queen of Coins. We've got the Queen of Coins. So there are 3 court cards here. And I suspect that the Queen of Coins probably represents you. And if you've been watching the channel, you know that I read all of the court cards regardless of gender, right? So like a king could be a person of any gender, a queen or a knight could be a person of any gender. But I'm getting a sense here that the Queen of Coins is like, they thought they were a knight, right? Your person thought a king. Your person thought they were a king, right? And now they're feeling like a knight because they're not sure that they're worthy of a queen, if that makes sense, right? Like the king and the queen would pair up, or a knight and a page might pair up, right? I mean, also a queen and a knight can pair up, right? It can go anyway. But if you think about the way that the court cards are organized, it's more likely, I think, for a king and a queen to match up than a knight and a queen. That might seem a little bit like crossing a boundary in a sense. Like if the knight and the queen are pairing up, well, what's the king doing, right? So I wonder if they're feeling not worthy. That's the point I'm trying to get at. They're not feeling worthy of this queen who's like independent, able to take care of herself and others, self-assured, maybe just a tiny bit on the defensive side. Sometimes with the queens, like they have to work hard to maintain their position in a way that a king doesn't necessarily have to do. And so they've achieved something, but there may be a little bit of sense there that they still have more to do, right, in their life or their goal or whatever it might be. But I do suspect here that your person is like looking now back at you and feeling not maybe kingly enough to reach out and try to invest, as I said earlier, again. Okay, well, I will end this reading there. I hope that it all works out with your person, and I hope that if you are wanting them um, to start something new with you and invest themselves in you, I hope that they do that if that's what you're looking for. If you saw something in the cards here that I didn't mention, please let me know. Let me know what resonated. And please consider liking and subscribing. I'd very much appreciate it. And I will leave it there. Thank you so much. I'll see you in your next reading. Hello, Group 2, and welcome to your reading. You chose Terra Volatile with the Emperor card and the adorable seal figurine. So let me set this aside so that I've got plenty of room for the cards. And I'll put the Emperor over here while I shuffle. Let me grab my deck here and give these a good couple of shuffles. And while I do that, I'll just think about the question and some reasons maybe why you could have chosen the Emperor card for this reading. And so the question, of course, today is, what do they really feel about you? So you've got some person in your life, could be a relationship, a friend, could be a family member, an acquaintance, someone at work, could be any kind of thing. Could be like a romance, any of that kind of stuff. And we want to see what are their real feelings about you. Okay, so since you chose the Emperor, that makes me think that your person is like established, they've achieved something for themselves. They might be in some kind of like authority position in some way. The emperor is kind of like the father figure of the deck, although I tend to read the tarot, particularly the court cards, but really all of the cards, regardless of gender. So we're not necessarily talking about someone who identifies as a guy, as a man, although we certainly could be. But regardless of their gender, this is someone who's got some power in some way, right? And it could be any kind of power, like money or intellectual power, or they've been promoted at work, or they're really good at studies at school, or whatever it might be, right? But they've got some kind of power under their belt, and they're probably fairly disciplined. They have control. They, in some occasions, may even be able to tell other people what to do, right? Like they might be able to kind of give suggestions or orders to other people in their life. And so all of those things could refer to the emperor. Bad things about the emperor possibly could be they don't listen to others, perhaps, as much as they should, right? Like maybe your person does their own thing and feels like they're too much in charge and doesn't consider other perspectives. Maybe they're not good with their emotions. The emperor tends to be kind of stoic and closed off emotionally unavailable. That would be something to consider with the emperor as well. So let me put the emperor aside. I've got it on a stand here. I'm looking at it, and we'll lay out your cards. Okay, one more. Okay. So think about your person. Take a deep breath. Let's see, what do they really feel about you? Wheel of Fortune. They feel like they're spinning around, right? They're going up, they're going down, things are happening. They feel like they don't have control. And so that's really interesting to see that with the Emperor card. The Emperor is someone who generally has control and likes it. The Wheel of Fortune says there are circumstances outside of this person's control that they just don't have any say about it. And that probably makes them feel pretty uncomfortable. So this could be the kind of thing where like maybe you've set a boundary with this person and they're like, what do you mean I can't just do whatever I want? And that's making them feel a certain way. It could be that they are kind of head over heels, like we'll have to see if any cups cards or the lovers or anything come up, or even some wands if we're talking about passion as opposed to emotion. But like they're stuck on the wheel. They feel like they're spinning, and they feel like there's very little that they can do about it. They just sort of have to wait for the wheel to spin some more. What did I say? So, like, if this is someone, if this is a romantic context, they have a crush on you. That's what the Ace of Wands says, right? This is a spark of fire. This is a big, strong wand. And it's raw and it's elemental and it's like nature and it's passion and it's feeling. And it's at the middle of everything. You can see the like fire or even lava, this might be, with the smoke coming up. It's like the beginning of something passionate and exciting. and they feel like they need to act on it. Whether they will or not depends on their individual personality and the context, but like the Ace of Wands is I need to do this thing. I need to take some kind of action, and they feel like they can't get away from it. Okay, and we've got more wands, this time 7 of them. 7 wands here. So the fire is building right from 1 to 7, and it's going pretty fast. 1 to 7 is a big jump. We'll see if other wands show up. So there's a passionate attraction, I would say, happening here. Now, if you are not in this moment thinking about a like love interest, we could also read these cards in terms of building something together, like a career, like maybe if you're talking about a coworker or something, maybe they're really interested in collaborating with you in some way that makes them, that like in some way that they are personally passionate about, if it's not more like a romantic attraction that's like a physical kind of attraction, right? But if you're thinking about like a romantic situation, then and then I would say there is definitely something there with this person because these wands are on fire. Whew. Okay, let's see what's between the Wheel of Fortune and the Ace. 3 coins. So that does actually make me think of a work context, right? Like people working together to build something, to do something. Whether it's actually at a job, I don't know. It could also be like studying if you're in school, but it could also just be more generally of like, working together to like, oh, I don't know, do ordinary stuff like run errands um, or any like just everyday kind of things that we do. That's what I think a lot of with pentacle or coins or pentacles is just like, the ordinary stuff that we do to get through life. So maybe this is that at first they thought their connection with you was just ordinary, but then boom, the spark happens here. Oh, wow, 2 cups. So this is about a partnership. This is about like this is big. This is like a soulmate kind of thing, or even just a really good friendship at least. But these 2 figures are really having a connection. Okay. They are staring into each other's eyes longingly. They really, it's the beginning, but they really feel like there is something deep here, and it's emotional, but it isn't only emotional. So like this is either a profoundly good friend or this is a potential partner, I would say. um like there's fire and there's the depth of water. We'll see what these other cards show. It also suggests like you could work with this person in a practical way. So it's all fine and good if there's an attraction and you can connect emotionally, but if you can't like figure out how you're ever going to see each other in a practical way, or just like I don't know who's going to pay for dinner, or who's going to like um just take care of like ordinary stuff. But this is then the relationship isn't going to go anywhere, is what I'm trying to say. But this is saying like you can also, it seems, work together in a practical way as well. And so that's really promising. Um, Particularly just seeing these 2 cards, the 2 of Cups and the Ace of Wands. I don't know if I could think of any cards that are even better for beginning a relationship. These are really beautiful to see. Okay, we have the Hermit, another major arcana after the Wheel of Fortune here. And so this makes me think that your person is searching for something. They feel like they're out in the dark, searching for a light. And the Hermit holds their lantern, which is their light, and they're trying to find footfalls, find their steps forward, right? And this ace of wands is another spark. It's like this is also the lantern. So these cards are sort of telling me a story of like in with you, they think they have this spark to light their way in the darkness, right? And that fire is growing. We see spark, lantern, seven wands, this fire down here. I have one more thought I want to add about the Seven of Wands, but let's look at the other cards. Okay, okay. Five Wands is what this is. So, okay, just breathe. One wand, five wands, seven wands. There's a growth of wands. This is fiery. This is passionate. It might get a little out of hand. On the one hand, we could think here of this as just healthy competition. Like maybe these people are just playing some kind of sport or game, and this is friendly-ish competition, but it also looks like maybe they are beating each other or hurting each other. So there may be a sense here as things move on with you two, there may be a sense of like competitiveness, that it's too passionate, it's too fiery, it's a little out of balance, uh, because there is a lot of fire, okay? We've got earth, we've got water, we've got fire, 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 right? It's maybe going to be too fiery. The other thing I want to add about the Seven of Wands is this card can represent uh, fights. It can represent people being angry with one another. And so that would be something to look out for, that the beautiful passion is not erupting and like getting out of hand, right? We know that wands represent fire. And so when fire is controlled, it can keep us warm, it can light the way, it can keep us cozy. But if the fire gets out of hand very, very quickly, it can hurt us, it can burn us, it can destroy things, it can hurt other people that we care about. So um, that would be something you would definitely need to watch out for. Let's look at the last two cards in this spread and see what we get. Six wands, lots of wands. Wands as far as the eye can see. Now, the nice one about the six here is all of these people who are celebrating a victory together. They're marching forward, and there's one who is sort of leading the way, being praised. They've had some sort of great success in their life. And so I do come back and I think about this emperor as someone who does like to be in control. And so I wonder if something to consider with this person is, do they need some praise, right? Are they expecting to get some attention, some praise? Um, from you or from others, right? Because there's multiple people here. So not necessarily just you, but this would be like public recognition of good deeds done. And so that would be something to consider. Um, let's see. There's so much fire here. What's the last card? Are we surprised? Not really. King of Wands. So this is your person, I think, is the king. They're the emperor, right? And they're also the king of wands sitting up there on their throne. And so let me tell you a little bit about the king of wands. Some of it I've already said before we even got to the card. But, you know, the king of wands is someone who's looking for a playmate, okay? They're not necessarily someone who's looking for a soulmate or a helpmate or an intellectual equal. They're looking for someone who they can have a good time with. And people change over time, right? So I'm not saying it would necessarily be like that always. But there is like a deep connection here with the Two of Cups, right? Water, that is a little bit in contradiction with the personality of the King of Wands. Fire, right? Fire, water contradict one another. And we've got fire, 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 and even some fire um, with the Hermit's lantern there, although usually the Hermit refers to the element of earth. But um, yeah, so the King of Wands, they can be a natural kind of leader. They're happy to take charge. Uh, they sometimes have trouble understanding when other people don't do what they want them to do. They're not always the most in touch with their feelings, and they're not always the kindest, right? Like they're not cruel, but I guess what I'm trying to say is this person is probably a strong person. And so you want to make sure that you're strong too in the face of them, right? Like um make sure that you're standing up for yourself. And if competition here turns into any kind of fighting there, don't let it get out of control. Come back here, come back to the depth and the emotion of the Two of Cups, okay? Because I think that is really uh, the card that we need to balance out this whole situation. So, to answer the question, what are they thinking of you? What is your person thinking, or what do they feel about you? I guess it was not thinking. The question was phrased as, what do they feel about you? They feel pulled towards you. They feel a depth of attraction. It's also practical. They feel like they can invest themselves in you, that there's something of value there. There's a spark of passion that is very quickly going to grow. And they think that this is something that will help to light their way forward with that Hermit card. Okay, I'm going to end the reading there. If you saw something in the cards that I didn't mention, I'd love to hear about it. Tell me what resonated below. Please consider liking and subscribing. I'd very much appreciate it if you would do that. And I'll leave it there. Thanks so much. Have a great day, and I will see you in your next reading. Hello, Group 3, and welcome to your reading. You chose the Ancient Italian Tarot with the Fool as the card and this very adorable boar figurine. I will set that aside. And here's the Fool. I'll set that aside. I've shuffled the deck, but I'm going to continue shuffling here on camera so you can see it. And while I shuffle, I'm going to think about the question and maybe some reasons why the Fool could have been calling out to you for this particular reading. So, the question, of course, today is, what do they really feel about you? There's someone in your life, a friend, an acquaintance, a partner, someone who you have a crush on or that you think might have a crush on you. Could be not a romantic relationship. It could be just like a family member. We'll see what comes up in here. It could be a coworker. You're wondering, like, what are they really feeling about me? And because you chose the Fool, it makes me think that, so like maybe your person is kind of silly, right? Like maybe they're not necessarily foolish, but kind of funny, like maybe a class clown kind of person, or maybe you feel silly when you're around them. There could be a dog, a cat, or some kind of other pet involved, I think, because we do see the little dog here. The other things I think of with Fool are the Fool is on a journey, right? And so could there be travel involved? Like you met this person while traveling, or like there's movement, and I suppose it doesn't have to be literal, like maybe it's not an actual journey, but maybe one or the other of you is like on a journey and you've met one another along the way on this actual or metaphorical journey. The Fool is at the beginning of something, right? Getting ready to set out on something new. So maybe your person is new at something, starting something out that is new to them. So let's cut these. Let's lay these cards out and see what we get. So I'm just going to take this and put it to the side, out of the way. I've got it on a stand here so that I can see it. And let's lay out our cards. All right, what do they really feel about you? What do they really feel about you? All right, we're going to start with 8 cups. So, 8 cups can mean there are several different people involved, right? Like it's a friend group or a family or work situation, but like lots of different people involved. It can also refer to a party, like maybe the two of you met in some sort of social gathering where people were getting together to, well, just hang out or I don't know, have a good time, like play games or drink or whatever it might be. That's the first thing that comes to mind. Eights can also mean movement, and like in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, this card tends to be about moving away from something like an unsatisfying situation. So this could possibly refer to your person having like maybe had some event recently, like a breakup where they feel like they've had to move on from something. It doesn't have to necessarily be a breakup. It could be any kind of emotional movement that they're trying to like get through or get over. So we've got the Knight of Spades here in the center, and this suggests someone who is like really passionate about what they believe in, whatever that might be. They can often present themselves as being very calm on the outside, but underneath, they have a lot of really intense thoughts. And it's probably someone who is looking like for someone that can have really good conversations with, right? So I think that your person is thinking about you as someone like who they can talk to, right? Who they can have interesting conversations about that. Um, it's hard to change this person's mind, right? But if you can get them to see another perspective, they hugely appreciate that. Although, again, they can sometimes be kind of really set in their ways. Okay, so we've got the 7 of Swords here. So swords are dominant. We'll see what else comes up. With the 7 of Swords, I think of someone who, like, people don't get them, right? So um, I think that the cards are saying here that your person sees you as someone who, like, other people don't understand, right? Like, maybe you're kind of unique, you're maybe kind of a weirdo sometimes, and your person is looking at that like, this does actually kind of make sense to me, and they're wondering why other people don't get it. If that makes sense, like why are you doing that thing that you're doing? But your person is like, well, of course, like that's not that weird. Like, it makes sense to me that they would sort of behave that way. But they see other people looking at you and they're like, they surprised, I guess is the word, for why other people don't understand you so much, right? Um, let's see. This Seven of Swords can also refer to being very focused and very like sharp, like intelligent, mentally sharp. And so I imagine they're thinking of you that way as well, as someone who's focused on a goal or focused on something that they're trying to accomplish and who's intelligent, right? And so the Knight of uh, Swords is someone who is looking for an intellectual equal, right? Someone who they can talk to, as I said, communicate with, but like someone who's a thinker. And the Seven of Swords is saying that they're seeing you as someone who's sharp like that, right? Okay, between the Eight of Cups and the Knight of Swords, we have seven batons. And so this card could indicate passion, right? That like a transition from feeling to passion. It can indicate a struggle. I don't know if there could have been some kind of struggle that happened. Like maybe they're having to struggle with their passion because then your person is someone who rationalizes everything. It has to make sense in their head what they're doing, right? They're not necessarily going to pay attention to their feelings or their passions or even practical matters. They're going to do what makes sense in their head. And that can sometimes get them into trouble because they can overthink things. And so maybe they're feeling a passion, right? Like deep down, and their head hasn't caught up to it yet, right? Like I think that um, the wands suit is faster than the swords, and the mind often has to play catch up with the feelings, the passions, in other words, if that makes sense. Okay, underneath the seven wands, the lovers. We've got the lovers popping up here. So again, I'm thinking cups, feeling, depth of emotion, emotional movement, plus passion that's maybe so strong it's a bit of a struggle to deal with. And together, those are combining in the lovers, right? This is about making a choice um, to to have a relationship with someone, right? And so I think that your person is there, right? Um, it's not necessary. It's like not always a romantic relationship. I suspect it is in this case, but it may not be. If you have someone in mind where it's not a romantic relationship, the lovers doesn't always refer to a romantic relationship. It does refer to a significant relationship, right? Even if it's not one of love and romance. Okay, let's see what's between the Knight of Swords and the Seven of Swords. We've got seven coins. So sevens are important here. 777. We've got seven wands. We've got seven coins. We've got seven swords. And so sevens for me are a number of transition. They can represent an obstacle. They can also represent just having accumulated experience in the respective part of the suit, right? So here with the Seven of Coins, I would think of the way that the harmony of the six coins is transitioning into something else because this seventh coin has entered the picture and it's being accepted. There's this beautiful foliage, right? Demonstrating that like the coin is being accepted, but the harmony that was there before is no longer present. Seven is an odd number. Seven is kind of an awkward number too. We get the kind of harmony of the three and the stability of the four, but then when you put them together, it makes kind of a weird layout, a weird kind of a shape. Um, and so, I think here that maybe your person is having to transition into or work on accepting this new part of their life, right? Or this new feeling that is entering into them. And it's because, as I said earlier, the Knight of Swords, like they're not necessarily emotionally intelligent. They're intelligent, but like they don't always know how to handle their feelings. And so this is something that they would need to sort of practically and slowly accept and admit into their everyday life, which is why I think seeing the Seven of Swords here is so great, because it suggests like that they are eventually able to do that, able to assimilate this new thing that's happening with you into a framework, an intellectual, mental framework that makes sense to their personality. Underneath the Seven of Coins, we have the Hanged One, another major. So we've got two majors in mirroring positions, Lovers to the Hanged One, and it's 6 to 12, right? The Lovers are number 6 of the major arcana, and the Hanged One is number 12, and that is likely significant. They're also even numbers. And so with the Hanged One, like you're turning their world upside down, very similar to what I was saying just a moment ago with the Seven of Coins. Something is being integrated. It feels like everything has stopped, right? Everything is stopping. They're hanging upside down. They feel like maybe they need to sacrifice something. They're seeing things from a different perspective and trying to make it make sense to them because their personality is just like maybe not ready for all of this. Let's look at 6 cups. Okay, we like to see that. So the 6 cups, some call that the nostalgia card. I think of it as a path, right? Like you can see the beautiful foliage in between the two columns of cups, making kind of a path that you can imagine this knight sort of riding their horse down, walking. So it's like the path to fulfillment, right? At the top of everything, we have a path towards fulfillment. Cups are what nourish us, they fulfill us, they make us happy, right? And this is following the pathway towards that. And underneath the knight, we've got 5 coins. So that is again like disruption. Similar to the 7, the 5 to the 7 might indicate a slight increase, right? Like at first, something is their everyday world is just a little disrupted because they're trying to figure out how to make sense of um, their relationship with you, right? And there's a bit of an intensification of that with the 7 of Coins, but then it makes sense to them because they're a swords person. It makes sense to them because we're seeing the 7 of Swords as the final card of the spread. So, like, I know that some people would probably read this differently than me because they would see the 7 of Swords and they would think, oh, deception, right? Um, yeah, sometimes. In this spread, I don't think so. I think in this spread, the Knight of Swords is trying to intellectualize their feelings in this relationship. And I would read here, I think, the seven the 7 of Swords and the other sevens, right, as a progression of like 7 batons turning into 7 coins, turning into 7 swords. And the swords make sense to this person. The batons are too passionate. They don't quite make sense. The 7 of Coins are too practical. Maybe they're a little better, but they still are not swords. But ending with the swords makes me think like this person is going to be able to sort of focus on their relationship with you, whatever that might be. Okay, I'll go ahead and end the reading there. If you saw something here that I didn't point out that resonated, please let me know. I'd love to hear. And please consider liking and subscribing if you got something out of this reading. That would encourage me to continue to make these videos. I will end it there. Have a great day, and I will see you in your next reading.